I mean, let's just start with the parents of the boyfriend / one-time fiance. You tell me, but this stinks to high heaven. They got their hands as dirty as they come, in my view. Mark?
Well, it would seem that way. I would like to know what went on in that household, what they're alleging occurred, what was told to them, what wasn't. Maybe it was just a look on their face that seemed to indicate that something nefarious took place. I don't know. It looks like they did something wrong, but I got to ask you, whether it be now or some point during this podcast, I've been dying to know, what would you do?
Right.
Arthur?
No, I agree, Mark.
Honestly, let me ask the question. I dreamed of it, and that was my primary motivation for coming on the podcast. I wanted to ask both of you honestly, if your precious offspring came home and one of them looked at you in the eyes and said they did something nefarious, what would you do? My beautiful brother, go ahead.
No, we had this conversation in my office, and one of my colleagues, who's the mother of 4, said, I would sit down with my son and say, you did something horrible, and we're going to work through this together, and we're going to support you, but we're going to surrender you to the FBI. And I think my instinct was no way. Like I just, especially, and Megyn, I apologize for not digging deeper, but I believe it's a death penalty eligible crime in the state of Wyoming. So am I going to turn my kid over to the authorities to be killed, possibly be killed? I don't see that happening. They're down in Florida. I could see a boat. I could see Venezuela or Cuba or something and just say, get out of Dodge. So,
but listen,
Mark, it's funny. I was thinking of that as well.
Why are we going right to a situation as though he's been caught red-handed? I mean, I think, look, this is my total speculation, not knowing much more than I've just reported about the case, but it looks like the guy did it. I mean, it certainly looks like the guy did it. And it looks like there's, it looks like there's consciousness of guilt. He fled. He wouldn't speak to the authorities. He has the van. She's missing. No, I know. I got it. I got it. But, I also don't want to wrongly impugn the guy before we've had a trial.
Of course.
However, me believing he did it, me thinking this stinks, is not the same as proving it beyond a reasonable doubt. Right now, he did the right thing legally by not speaking to the police. I agree with his lawyer on that. What the prosecution has at the moment is a dead body. It's her. They can tell that she was killed by someone, and his showing up in another state with the van. Let's talk about that prior to him fleeing, because to me, you're going to have a tough time making reasonable doubt. I mean, he could argue anything. They never have to put him on the stand. His lawyers can say, who knows what happened? They had a fight. She stormed off. He never saw her again. We don't know who killed her.
Hey, I'll play the role of the prosecutor right now. We can't make an arrest. What facts are you going to go in front of a judge? Now, I'm the prosecutor, right? I'm the elected prosecutor, so I don't want to mess this up. So what facts do I have to put in front of a judge to secure an arrest warrant? What probable cause do I have? Now, it all hinges on the details of the coroner's report. If the medical examiner says, she died from blunt force to her head or whatever, and under her fingernails is his skin and his blood, which is a clear defensive wound. Now, maybe I have something, but the mere fact that they traveled together, he came back without her, there are so many different scenarios that a criminal defense attorney could stand up and put forth to a jury that at this point, you cannot make an arrest. There is not enough probable cause by the case law to make an arrest that he committed this crime.
Well, let's just say this. They made the determination it was a homicide, not suicide, not accidental, not natural. So there has to be something that evidences it was at the hand of another. I'm assuming strangulation marks. I'm assuming some type of slit throat, some stabbing, maybe a shooting, stuff like that you would typically see, right? Now the question is, who done it? I think there's plenty enough circumstantial evidence to indicate that he is most reasonably the person who did it. And good luck claiming it was Bigfoot out in the wilderness who did this to her.
But what's the evidence?
What do you mean?
What's the evidence? The evidence is they were together. The evidence is merely that they were together. That's it. There's nothing more than that.
That's the thing.
There's
all checking our individual beliefs as reasonable people looking at these circumstances, because that doesn't determine whether you get to charge as a prosecutor or whether there's, no reasonable doubt as a juror. They have to be able to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. What is the proof that she wasn't left alone, that he did again what he did the first time, which is stay out of the van. I'm taking your van. I'm taking your keys. I'm taking your phone. You're screwed, and left her. And some bad guy in the middle of nowhere came along and did her harm.
And weren't there two other people killed in that area, Mark? Weren't there two other women who went missing in that area? I mean, there's just again, Megyn, to your point, when you asked earlier about the lawyer, hypothetically, if the kid came in and said, "Look, we were hiking and she slipped and she fell and hit her head, and you know, that's all, and I panicked and I left," well, then I may have him go in and chat. Maybe, but when he goes absolutely silent, there is a commonsensical presumption that he's doing that because he has nothing good to say.
And then he flees. I mean, that's the thing. So you talk about what would I do as a parent? God forbid, right? God forbid any parent find themselves in this situation. But if the kid has a reasonable chance of beating the charge, I'd much rather see him stand trial and try to beat the charge while exercising his constitutional rights than flee. And God knows where this guy is right now, or whether anybody will ever see him again, or whether he's committed self-harm. I have no idea. I don't really care that much about his well-being because I think the guy probably committed a murder. But, you know, it's tough when you put it ask me to put my mother hat on and how I would have dealt with this, different than when I have my prosecutor hat on. You tell me, now that if they get him, if they capture this guy, will it be admissible that he fled? Will it be admissible that he was seen slapping her, as reported, as you can hear on a 911 call, and then the cops, get them to admit that? Mark?
I think yes. I think that should all come in. I think it's all relevant. I think it goes to consciousness of guilt. I think that when you put it on a scale and you balance the probative value versus the prejudicial effect, it absolutely should come in. Arthur?
If we looked for this manhunt, Megyn, and this was the question I had. So that you saw all these police officers and they're risking their lives with alligators and snakes in this horrible area. If they found him, could they have arrested him? Because I haven't heard that they could have. If they found them, were they allowed to put handcuffs on him, or were they then just allowed to kind of track him when he was in public spaces? I have not heard that there is an arrest warrant. There is an FBI warrant out for his arrest. So the question you asked, Megyn, about whether it's admissible or not, that's really in the discretion of the trial judge making the analysis that Mark just did. Does the probative value outweigh the prejudicial value? Because obviously it's prejudicial, and every judge may look at that a little differently depending on whom that judge is.
I mean, I predict if they find him, that both of those things come in. But, making the case, like we talk about circumstantial, like you say, Arthur, unless there's his skin underneath her nails or something on her body that directly ties violence to him, not just a relationship. Right now, this does not look like anything close to an open and shut case against him. So we'll see.